Hello and welcome to this edition of Ritter's Rant. Today I'm going to be borrowing a line from the Tom Hanks classic movie Forrest Gump. Stupid is as stupid does. And yes, I'm probably referencing a number of people who currently reside in the administration of Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, who just yesterday, I believe, declared that the only route available to Iran is unconditional surrender. He also declared that he was going to be the man that's picking the next leadership of Iran. Um, Sort of a glib way of referencing the fact that he is behind the assassination, the murder of Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, a man who wasn't just involved in the governance of a sovereign nation that had been subjected to a surprise attack by Israel and the United States. Just a little footnote for all those people out there that are interested in history. On December 7th, the American people collectively bow their heads and recall the day of infamy, the day when the forces of Imperial Japan carried out a surprise attack against American naval forces and air forces in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. I grew up in Hawaii. I've been to Pearl Harbor. I've been to the Pearl Harbor Monument, and I understand, the solemn reality of that. Our nation was betrayed. Our nation was attacked. Our nation was stabbed in the back. And we went to war to defeat those who perpetrated that attack. And, you know, so here we are, the United States claiming to have the high moral ground, and yet we have embarked on doing the exact same thing. We are the modern day incarnation of Imperial Japan. And Iran now has a day in infamy that they get to reflect back on, the day when the United States and Israel attacked them while promising diplomacy. I mean, we can roll in perfidy as well, laying out the white flag, telling people we want to negotiate, telling people we have a diplomatic off ramp. And while the Iranians, in good faith, negotiate this diplomatic off ramp, we stab them in the back. We bomb them. We murder their leader. It's not just that he was the leader of a nation, though. He was the leader of the faithful, 12er faction of the Shia faithful, people who believe in vilayat faqih, the guidance, ruler of the supreme jurisprudence, dating back to the religious philosophies of Ruhollah Khomeini, the first supreme leader of Iran, the man who perpetrated or put in motion the Islamic revolution that led to the creation of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which exists today, that we're currently at war with. This is a long way of bringing up the fact that we didn't just murder anybody. We murdered, a man that is revered by millions of people as, their supreme religious figure. This is like murdering the Pope for the Catholic faithful. This is like murdering the Archbishop of Canterbury for those who buy into the Episcopalian Church. This is like murdering Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, for those, Orthodox Christians out there. This is a big deal. And this isn't done by some terrorist group. This isn't Al Qaeda or ISIS out there carrying out acts of terrorism. This is the United States of America doing this. Stupid is as stupid does. You see, one of the things that Donald Trump has claimed in carrying out this horrific act of betrayal, violation of international law, this initiating, point of a war of aggression, an illegal war of aggression, which again, for those historians out there, we just have to refer back to Justice Jackson, who was the prosecutor in the Nuremberg trials that put Nazi criminals on trial and had several of them executed. A war of aggression was the supreme war crime, he said, because from that all other crimes emanate. And the United States is now guilty of carrying out an illegal war of aggression against Iran. Stupid is as stupid does. But killing Ali Khamenei isn't just dumb. I mean, it's insane. First of all, we claim that we want to eliminate the regime. That's the purpose of this. I mean, Donald Trump is talking about handpicking Iran's future, future government. Good luck, Donnie. You killed Ali Khamenei, and you killed the man that the Iranian people are now rallying around. If you thought by killing him you would have people in the streets, you're right. They're in the streets, but not celebrating his death. They're rallying around the cause of the Islamic Republic. You've made it impossible, literally impossible, for regime change to take place. But you also said you wanted to go to war to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Now, let's forget the fact for a moment that your Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified to the United States Congress recently that Iran didn't have a nuclear weapons program, wasn't pursuing one. There was no evidence of this. And furthermore, she said it would require a political decision that hasn't been made, a political decision linked to a religious edict or fatwa issued by Ali Khamenei in 2003 and subsequently updated since then, which forbids Iran from developing, stockpiling, preparing, getting ready, doing anything related to a nuclear bomb. It wasn't just that the Iranian government didn't want it. Islam forbade it. And the basis of this, denial of access to nuclear weapons technology was a religious edict issued by Ali Khamenei. He was literally the only man standing in the way of Iran developing a nuclear bomb. You see, the perfidy that you've perpetrated against Iran dates back to betrayal that's been taking place, since the Islamic Republic came into being, when the United States began, sanctioning Iran, targeting Iran, plotting against Iran. The CIA has been actively moving to replace the Islamic Republic since 1979. And we're the ones that decided that Iran couldn't have access to nuclear technology, even though Iran is a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Article 4 of the treaty clearly allows them to pursue the totality of the nuclear enrichment cycle, including, the building of centrifuges and spinning up the uranium hexafluoride feedstock to the percentages necessary to create fuel for their peaceful reactors. But we said, no, you can't have it. And we did it because Israel pressured us, but that's another story. We're the ones behind the sanctioning. We're the ones that, have been punishing Iran for seeking that which all other nations who are signatories to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty are allowed to have. And Iran basically wouldn't allow that to happen. So they decided that they would pursue a nuclear enrichment program linked to peaceful nuclear use, despite the opposition of the United States, Israel, and then later on Europe and others who fell for the propaganda of the United States and Israel that Iran was pursuing a nuclear weapons program, when in fact Iran wasn't, and there's no evidence, and there never has been any evidence linking Iran to such a program. But it doesn't matter because there was a fatwa issued by Ali Khamenei. Now, because of the continued betrayal of Iran at the hands of the United States and Israel, because this betrayal was beginning to manifest itself in an existential threat to Iran, meaning that Israel was talking about joining with the United States to eliminate the Iranian government. There was talk within Iran about, maybe they should develop a nuclear bomb. In the fall of 2024, there were many people pressuring Ali Khamenei to revisit his fatwa. There were people who were saying that Iran should position itself as a nuclear threshold state, and they did this. They enriched their uranium stockpiles. They acquired 450 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, still considered to be low levels of uranium, not useful for nuclear weapons, but they're only now 1 or 2 enrichment cycles away from having the 90% plus enriched uranium necessary to create the fissile core for a nuclear bomb. There were people that were advising Khamenei to create the conditions that would allow Iran to transfer to a nuclear weapons program should an existential threat exist. And indeed, that appears to have occurred. While Khamenei did not reverse his fatwa, he did acknowledge that under certain circumstances, a fatwa could be reversed, could be ignored, if, for instance, there was an existential threat to Iran's survival as an Islamic Republic posed by nations possessing nuclear weapons, who may in fact threaten Iran with those nuclear weapons. Stupid is as stupid does. We killed Ali Khamenei, and now we're attacking him. 2 nuclear power states, the United States and Israel. And guess what? The Iranian resistance is such that we may have to use nuclear weapons to break their resistance. So now what do the Iranians do? Stupid is as stupid does. You see, we had entered into negotiations with Iran ostensibly in good faith. We now know that that's not the case. We never did. We made the decision to attack before we began the negotiations, and negotiations were purely designed to lull Iran to a false sense of complacency while setting a point on the calendar from which we would bomb, a point that would take place prior to any deal being finalized. Now, the Iranians, warned the American, negotiators, Jared Kushner, the overqualified son of Donald Trump, who has a degree in nuclear physics and has been involved. Wait a minute, he has none of that. He's just a corrupt real estate broker. And Steve Witkoff, who worked in the U.S. National Security Labs design. No, he didn't do that either. He's just another corrupt New York real estate broker. So we have two corrupt real estate brokers working for a president whose only background is corrupt real estate broker, now talking to the Iranians about their nuclear weapons program. So the Iranians put them on notice. We got 450 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. That puts us as a threshold nuclear state. You guys might want to take this negotiation seriously, because the Iranians did. And you know what they did? They bent over backwards to make sure that they would do everything necessary to alleviate any concern about this 450 kilograms. It was going to disappear. It was going to be diluted down. It was going to be accounted for in its totality, not just by the return of international inspectors, but for the first time, Iran was willing to consider the presence of U.S. inspectors on Iranian soil to confirm for themselves that the Iranians were complying. They were going to take their enrichment down to as close to zero as possible. Basically, any pathway to a nuclear weapon was going to be eliminated permanently. No sunset clauses, no aging out of this, permanently. If the goal of the United States was to get rid of Iran's nuclear program, this was it. We had achieved it. Donald Trump had the opportunity to say, I made a better deal than Barack Obama did, which is what he wanted to say all along, if this was about nuclear weapons. But it was about regime change. So despite the fact that the Iranians had a deal they were ready to sign that would have solved all these problems, we declared the negotiations to be a failure, and then we bombed Iran. Surprise attack, stupid as it stupid does. Now we killed Ali Khamenei. Now inside Iran, people who believe that Iran should have a nuclear weapon are now in power. They've replaced Ali Khamenei. These are people now looking around as we level Tehran to the ground, as we level Iranian cities to the ground, as we attack Iran, and we're not achieving. They see the panic growing in Israel and the United States. They hear whispers now in Washington, D.C. and Tel Aviv about the potential necessity of using nuclear weapons. And Ali Khamenei is no longer there. His fatwa hangs, waiting to be changed. Stupid as stupid does. If we didn't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, we just gave Iran the clearest pathway to legitimizing getting a nuclear weapon. 450 kilograms of uranium hexafluoride, which had not been converted to metallic state at the time of the attack, which the Iranians were ready to turn over to the United States, is now sitting in a secret Iranian facility, probably co-located with 164 centrifuges of the highest quality that within a period of a week could turn this material into 90, 92, 94% enriched uranium, sufficient to make fissile material. They probably evacuated their metallurgy facilities from Isfahan into similar facilities so they could convert the uranium hexafluoride gas into a uranium metal. And then using a simple gun design, which works 100% of the time, loaded on the warheads, which intelligence suggests the Iranians have been producing since the fall of last year, after the 12-day war. Yeah, that last 12-day war where the United States and Israel once again carried out a surprise attack using diplomacy designed to get rid of Iran's nuclear program as cover. Stupid is as stupid does. This war is going to end. Left to conventional means, this war between the United States, Israel, and Iran will end with an Iranian victory. We see the Iranians winning every single day. We see the increasing panic in the eyes of Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, and everybody else who promoted this conflict. They know they can't win. And they're going to start talking about using nuclear weapons. And when they do, understand this. Iran will destroy Israel. Israel will no longer exist. Iran has the capability of producing between 5 and 10, some say 11, nuclear weapons of 15 to 20 kilotons each. These are weapons as large or larger than the weapons dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. If Iran has missiles today that can strike Israel at will, the Fatah 4. You put a nuclear warhead on that, You've eliminated Tel Aviv. Another one eliminates Haifa. Another one eliminates any other Dimona. You can eliminate all the population centers. Beersheba in Israel will no longer exist. And one of those weapons will find its way into a container on a container ship that'll make its way to an American harbor and detonate, whether it's Boston, Baltimore, New York City, it doesn't matter. We're going to lose an American city with an Iranian nuclear weapon that doesn't exist today, but may very well exist in the near future because we killed the one man that said such a weapon could never be built. Ali Khamenei, stupid is as stupid does. That's my rant. Next time an idea crosses my mind, I'll be sure to let you know.